Hey there, hey there, hey there. So I'm gonna share with you something today, alright? Alright, Tsukumogami, alright. These are basically object spirits, and yes, I am using a Japanese name. And no, they're not, Alright, yeah, but we're not, exclusively making them Japanese objects, though. We're gonna expand even further beyond. And we're gonna plus ultra. Alright, now let's get on with it. Get on with it, yeah, get on with it. Alright, Alright, now, the first subsection of them is neglected. These object spirits are inhabited by dangerous people in life who escape being caught by forces that were sent to guide and judge the wicked spirits to be sent into the afterlife, who attach themselves to neglected and discarded objects and became dangerous variants of Tsukumogami. The reason the reason is that they are only able to possess, The reason they are only able to possess, neglected and discarded objects is due to residual negative energy that is attached to said objects. The neglected can be born if objects have strong negative emotions or negative influence from mortal existence attached to them that have built up. And these beings are more monstrous and nightmarish compared to the more humanoid and cherished object spirits, with more positive and neutral emotions attached to them. Alright, now the neglected are increasingly commonplace today because due to the objects in the modern era being made to be used and discarded and left to rot. Alright, yeah. Things used to actually be made to last for until more into the modern era. When we start getting things that were more made to be discarded and used and discarded. That's why a lot of things these days are built like crap. And that affected the Tsukumogami and Tsukumogami, and that's part of the lore that made stigma neglected. Alright, Tsukumogami. Alright, this subsection is this subsection is more than neutral and positive ones. These are humanoid in appearance and are born of cherished and loved objects that people often use or had, fondness of, that have positive or more neutral emotions attached to them. Many of them are born from various objects that have become inhabited by spirits of dead humans. The more well-loved the object is, the more closer to human they will appear, though more monstrous-looking ones are formed from more neutral or dust-gathering objects. Though the more monstrous-looking ones that are formed are more neutral... I'm sorry, I actually read that again, I'm sorry. Due to advances in magic and spiritual technology, they no longer have to wait 100 years to inhabit an object, a thing that became less and less common due to objects being made cheap and disposable in the modern era. As you can, alright now, aren't we glad? Yeah, that's something that Celestials came up with. The good ones that serve the goddess of creation came up with. Kind of help them. And yes, this is basically one of the options spirits can have to basically reincarnate. Even though hostile and dangerous spirits can attach to objects as well. Which this is just one of the options that's open. It's not the only one though. I mean, one could become an undead, one could become an undead though. Or become a spirit. Alright now, the next one is, weaponites. Alright now, these are a dangerous breed of object spirit that are possessed by terrible criminals to commit heinous deeds, and often possess objects used to hurt and kill other people, and they have violent and destructive emotions attached to them, or very, very sad tales that are the stuff of nightmares. Weaponites are often very monstrous, almost eldritch in appearance, and often resemble weapons of various kinds. It is said that they are being mass-produced in secret by a powerful weaponite known as Carbine. Yeah, and Carbine, they're basically, are you guys familiar with the gun goddess in Sea of Stars? That's basically how I came up with Carbine. And being trained in an army to take over the object spirit world by Combat Boot. Alright now, Combat Boot, he's basically a spirit of a very, dishonorable and violent general who had a very bad reputation in the army and, kind of committed a lot of war crimes. And his spirit, kind of attached to an old discarded boots of his that that kind of, that kind of attached to him. That kind of got it. He kind of attached to because it was a discarded object. Yeah, and all right now. His true arts is also a true art of boots. Yeah. Wait. Actually, I'm sorry. I misspoke. His true arts is the true art of the army. Yeah. All right now. Both of them are powerful object spirits, born of very heinous and cruel criminals in life, guilty of many bloody deeds. They're said to even go as far as to weaponize the collected for their own ends. Uh oh. All right now. I suppose if we had to look at it this way, Tsukumogami, all right, they basically are, and the traditional stories in Japan, they're basically, objects that basically have been around for 100 years, and, some of them become possessed by, spirits, and the ones that are, well cherished and loved objects, tend to be rather peaceful, but more neglected and discarded ones tend to, be a little more hostile. Of course, I'm going a little bit further with it, and, I'm basically bringing in, possessed and cursed object lore into it. In fact, we could probably, bring in we could also probably bring in, cursed objects into the weapon knights. Yeah, such as like a cursed sword or a cursed gun or something. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good idea, I think. Anyway, I thank you for watching, and I hope you had plenty of fun. Oh, I should probably make. Alright, I'll make a weapon knight into a into a cursed sword monster girl. Anyway, I'm sorry. Anyway, thank you for listening, and I hope you had plenty of fun. Remember to fly like bat and shine like the moon. For we are Swift Dreams Arena. Okay, bye now.